Welcome to the Movie Zone. Today we are recapping the 2009 romance sex film, Spread. Supported by his many girlfriends, this man lives the carefree life in sunny Southern California. But life isn't always as it seems. As usual, spoilers ahead, so be ready. Let's begin. Nicky is a young man who has never taken life seriously. He believes he is going to have it easy in life and has had it easy so far. However, pushing 30 years old, Nicky has no money, no job, and no house. But he does have a plan. Nicky has one special ability. He can pretty much seduce any woman he wants. As Nicky lands in California to begin his new journey, he vows, or confidently claims, that he will not live the life of a simpleton in such a thriving metropolis. As long as he lives in California, he will really live. After arriving in California, Nicky heads straight to a random party in the Hollywood Hills. He walks in like he belongs and seems to instantly identify each woman's needs and wants. He crosses eyes with a few young women and can see their apparent interest. But tonight, he isn't there for a younger woman. He has had enough fun. Tonight, he is here to find someone who can support themselves and support him. It doesn't take him long before he catches a middle-aged woman all alone heading out of the party. She clearly looks like she does not belong there, and so she was the perfect prey. Nicky walks up to the woman, Samantha, and starts flirting with her. At first, Samantha shows no interest in him, but slowly, her head is turned. She can't resist his charm for long, and the two start making out. They head back to Samantha's place, a huge, luxurious mansion in the middle of Hollywood. A perfect spot for Nicky to crash for God knows how long. As expected, the two do the deed as soon as they reach the bedroom, and Nicky does his best to satisfy Samantha with not much difficulty. The next morning, though, he fakes being asleep just so he can stay at Samantha's place. The woman gives one look at the cute guy in her bed and lets him stay, even handing over her credit card so he could buy something to eat. By the time Samantha comes back to her place, Nicky had not only cooked dinner, but also bought flowers. Samantha is pleased, but is also slightly concerned this stranger is still in her house. She tries to inquire about what he does for a living and how he got there, but Nicky diverts the topic with sweet words and his quick wit. He cannot have her knowing that he is homeless, careless, jobless, and all in all, completely unreliable. Pretty soon, Nicky and Samantha are a passionate duo, like a couple of bunnies in the bedroom. They do it every day, anytime, anywhere. In return, Nicky gets a place to live and tons of affection from Samantha in the form of gifts and attention. He has gained her trust and is allowed free reign throughout the whole house. One day, Samantha heads to New York, leaving Nicky in charge of her house. So Nicky takes the chance to do the one thing that he does best: throw a party. The whole house is soon filled with drunk men and women enjoying the venue and having the time of their lives. While sitting by the poolside listening to his friend Harry's love life issues, Nicky gives Harry some questionable advice on how one should treat women and how he can have a lot more fun. Harry is patient and listens to everything, but highly doubts Nicky's philosophy when it comes to anything to do with women and his love life. Just then, a really hot drunk girl approaches and asks Nicky for a house tour, which he passes up on. He shows her the entire house and ends the tour in the bedroom. Captain Obvious much? Nicky explains that, yes, there is a chance to get laid when you get a drunk girl, but when you end the tour in a bedroom, the chances get increased threefold, and that's exactly what happens. Nicky gets laid. The next day, Nicky is so assured in his position that he calls up an old girlfriend to the house and does the deed with her. Nicky is growing super confident in his control over Samantha's house and wants to push the limits. Every night, Nicky has a different girl over at his place for some company and good time in the bedroom. One night, Nicky is enjoying a BJ from a random chick he picked up, completely forgetting it is the day Samantha returns from her New York trip. Samantha finds Nicky and the lady enjoying a swell time in her bedroom and is pretty pissed. First, she throws the girl out of her house and then starts reprimanding Nicky for doing what he did. He has not only broken her trust, but also used her for his own good. And yeah, her maid had told her about the huge party that Nicky threw a few nights ago as well. She asked Nicky to get the hell out of her house. However, they both know that as much as Nikki needs Samantha, Samantha needs Nikki as well, mostly because of the lonely life that Samantha leads and her constant desire for the bedroom's extracurricular activities. So, instead of kicking Nikki out, the two come to an arrangement. Nikki stays in return for performing sexual favors for Samantha. Everyone is content. One day, Nikki heads to a local restaurant to have some breakfast, and his eyes fall on a pretty waitress named Heather. Nikki is his usual self and can't control himself from hitting on Heather, but the girl wants nothing to do with him. When he can do nothing to get her phone number, Nikki leaves without paying the bill and leaves his number instead. Heather is angry, and rightfully so, and somehow manages to track down Nikki and take her money. Nikki had expected a much calmer response from her, but she acts really angry and rude. His chance with her is all but gone, but Nikki is not one to give up. For some reason, he seems to have developed feelings for Heather. Not willing to give up his pursuit of Heather, Nikki goes to his friend Harry to ask for help. The next day, the two men head back to the same restaurant and pretend to be super important guys to impress her. However, it doesn't take long for their act to be revealed. Eventually though, Heather does warm up to Nikki and gives him her number. Soon the two are chatting up, and Nikki starts feeling a little uncomfortable with Samantha. She also notices how Nikki had changed a bit and starts realizing that perhaps he had been seeing someone else on the side, someone who is better than her. Nikki, on the other hand, is so focused on making matters work with Heather that he gets into a massive argument with Harry, and their relationship takes a step back. The best friends are friends no more. One day, Heather calls Nikki on a date with her in a really fancy restaurant. She arrives late, but regardless, the two have a really good time together. But suddenly, she gets a call from someone called Little Monkey, and then she storms away like she had some really urgent matter to attend to. Nikki is pissed so much that he vows he won't call her again. As days pass by, however, Nikki can't stop checking his phone, and Samantha believes perhaps she needed to do something to herself. She asks Nikki to take her to the hospital and tells him she will be back in a few days. As Nikki stays alone in his room that night, he gets a call from Heather, telling him she is in his home. Stalk her much? The two hook up once more. When Nikki asks if the little monkey was her boyfriend's, Heather explains little monkey was her brother, and he had a really bad disease. All in all, she makes up a very believable lie, and Nikki surprisingly buys it. The two end up sleeping together. The next day, however, Nikki goes to park Heather's car when he realizes the car was owned by a grown man, and he knows that she was lying the last night. Nikki is pissed that Heather was the same as him, making people buy her stuff and enjoy life in exchange for sexual favors. Talk about double standard. Nikki's anger gets the better of him, and he kicks her out. Then, Nikki heads out to pick up Samantha, who had actually gone through a vaginal reconstruction surgery to make herself more pleasing to Nikki. However, Nikki no longer has any interest in Samantha. Sure enough, Samantha gets pissed at him and throws him out of her house, leaving Nikki with nowhere left to go. His friend Harry wouldn't let him in, and his ex wouldn't even let him close to her, since he only always used her. Nikki's life becomes the one thing he swore it would never be, and he is forced to live in the streets like a homeless hobo. Desperate to find some way to live, instead of getting a job, Nikki heads to a hotel and tries to seduce a really old woman. The plan is going well, but suddenly, Heather finds him and catches him in the act. She realizes they both are the same kind of people and takes pity on the lady. Heather offers Nikki a place to stay and find some ground. She takes him back to her place, where she lives with a roommate who barely comes out of her room. Heather and Nikki start living together, and at first, Nikki even helps Heather get some more of her sugar daddies, but soon enough, the both of them fall in love. Although Nikki's not so sure about his feelings yet, they do tons of stuff together and grow really close. Until one day, Nikki gets a letter from Heather's fiancé, some man who owns a huge football team. She had decided to break up with the man because she was in love with Nikki. However, Nikki, who is still unsure of his feelings, and tells her she didn't make the right choice. Heartbroken, Heather ends up leaving the place and heads to New York to meet with her fiancé. Nikki, on the other hand, regrets his choice. A few hours after she had left, he tries to call her and talk to her, but to no avail. There was nothing he could do to bring her back. Then, he turns to Heather's mysterious roommate and asks her for advice. The girl tells her that he should probably go ahead and ask Heather to marry him if he feels so strongly about her. He also manages to reconcile with Harry, who pays for his ticket to New York, and Nikki rushes to meet with Heather. He manages to track Heather down and tells her he loves her and he wants her to be with him. Heather, however, is looking at the long run. Nikki makes nothing and he is broke. How would he ever be able to provide for her? The man still stands firm and assures her he would make something out, but Heather can't believe him. Nikki pulls out the ring and shows her how serious he was, but unfortunately, Heather is already married in the last few days and she cannot go back into her old ways. She cannot leave her husband. Just then, the other man enters and Heather tearfully sends Nikki away. Heartbroken, Nikki returns back to LA. Life isn't as easy as he made it out to be, but it's okay. Life moves on, and Nikki continues with his life. This time, he decides to live life the right way and gets a job as a delivery guy and decides to live properly and depend on himself. What do you think about this movie? Tell us in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.